Welcome to Heartbreak Chronicles. What does it feel like to be trampled by the woman you built up with your own hands? 3 days ago, my wife, the woman who became CEO thanks to my work, had security throw me out of the company like a criminal. Today, she called and asked, "Have you learned your lesson, Damien?" I've learned. I learned that some people take the script you give them and start thinking they're the writer. I learned that when a lie is repeated 1,000 times, even the liar starts to believe it. Serena, I stared at the divorce papers on the table and that 3-year-old original proposal draft, smirking. You'd better come home now. Some debts need to be settled. Before we continue, if you've ever been betrayed by someone you trusted most, please subscribe. This story will show you that the price of betrayal is far more devastating than the betrayer imagines. Have you learned your lesson, Damien? On the phone, Serena's voice carried that condescending charity tone, as if she really thought 3 days would be enough to tame me into a dog. 3 days. What can 3 days accomplish? Enough time for someone to go from shock to anger, from anger to calm, from calm to planning a complete counterattack. I looked at the 2 items on the coffee table, divorce papers and a proposal with a timestamp from 3 years ago, the T-Charm brand revitalization plan. This was the plan that made Serena famous in the industry overnight. The absurd part? From start to finish, this was my work. She used my talent as her facade, then told everyone it was her ability. Serena, I did learn something. My voice was calm as a frozen lake. Come home at 6. We need to talk. Silence on the other end for a few seconds. Was she imagining herself walking through the door to see me kneeling and begging? She was wrong. Dead wrong. Good, she said, her voice full of satisfaction. I hope you've thought things through. Thought things through? Yes, I've thought very clearly. So clearly I could count every strand of her hair. That meeting 3 days ago was a carefully staged execution ceremony. I walked into the conference room thinking it was a normal meeting. Instead, I found Serena and her sister Sylvia sitting there like 2 executioners. 10 employees listening in. Security at the door. Was this a meeting? This was a public trial. Sylvia smiled like a cat who just stole the cream. Mr. Chun, sorry. I should just call you Damien now. Your things have been packed. Here's your last month's salary. Last month's salary. Like paying off a beggar. What does this mean? I asked, though I already knew the answer. It means, Serena looked at me, her eyes cold as if looking at a stranger. Someone who leaks company secrets doesn't deserve to stay here. Leaking secrets? Absurd. It was utterly ridiculous. I looked at the so-called evidence, Dr. chat logs, forged emails, a few blurry photos. None of it could withstand scrutiny, but they didn't care. They just needed a reason, a seemingly legitimate reason. Serena, do you really believe this? She looked away. She couldn't even look me in the eye. The evidence is conclusive. Security, escort him out. Security grabbed my arms like I was a criminal being escorted. 10 employees watching me. Some sympathetic, some shocked, some gloating. In the hallway, there was still a photo of Serena and me hanging. It was taken the year the company was founded, us holding champagne, smiling like we actually believed in the future. How ironic. Turns out the one who betrays you can smile so brilliantly. I went home and sat on the couch for 2 full hours. Then I called Graham. Graham was my college classmate, a law firm partner. After hearing everything, he said only one thing. You've been set up. And this setup wasn't something your wife's sister could pull off alone. You mean? Your wife knew. In fact, she orchestrated it. Graham's voice was cold. Do you want to fight back? Yes. Then divorce. Use the property division process to request a comprehensive audit of the company. This is your only chance. And so the war began. Now, Serena was on her way home, thinking she was coming to receive an apology. What she didn't know was that a trial awaited her. I opened my laptop and reviewed the evidence Graham's team had compiled again. 18 months, $4 million. Sylvia had created 13 shell companies, Starlight Consulting, Summit Solutions, Creative Partners, using consulting fees as cover to transfer money out, transaction by transaction. And Serena, as CEO, had signed off on every single one. She claimed she didn't know? Who would believe that? And that surveillance footage. The timestamp showed that 2 days before I was fired, at 10 p.m., Sylvia used my computer for 45 minutes. What was she doing? Fabricating evidence. Creating the illusion that I had leaked information. The tech team analyzed those emails, all fabricated. IP addresses, timestamps, all digital fingerprints pointed to one conclusion. This was a carefully planned frame-up. And Serena chose to believe her sister over her husband. Why? Because she had a guilty conscience. Because she knew the T-Charm case that made her famous was stolen from me. She was afraid that one day I'd turn on her and reveal the truth. So when Sylvia said, "Damien might threaten you," she panicked. Fear makes people stupid. Stupidity destroys everything. The doorbell rang. 5:45. 15 minutes early. Even coming home had to be according to schedule, CEO to the bone. I opened the door. Serena wore a Chanel suit, perfect makeup, her face carrying that confident expression, as if the upcoming conversation already had a script. "Damien." She walked in, not even bothering with greetings. "Serena." She sat on the couch, crossing her legs. "I'm glad you've seen reason. These 3 days must have been hard for you. But the company can't tolerate." "Shut up." She froze. "You're sitting here still playing CEO?" I walked toward her. "Serena had enough of the act? What are you?" I threw the divorce papers onto her lap. "Take a look at this." She looked down, her face instantly changing. "Are you insane?" "No, I'm clear-headed. Probably the most clear-headed I've been in 5 years. I sat across from her. "Tomorrow morning at 9, the court-appointed audit firm will enter Radiant Marketing. In a divorce case, I have the right to request a comprehensive audit of marital assets. You can't." "I already did." I picked up another document. "This is an asset preservation application. The company accounts are frozen as of today. Any large expenditures require court approval." Serena's hands were trembling. "About your sister," I continued. "In the past 18 months, she stole $4,030,000 from Radiant through 13 shell companies. Starlight Consulting, Summit Solutions, Creative Partners. I've traced every single one." "Impossible." "Sylvia wouldn't." "She would, she did, and you knew about it." I opened my laptop and turned it toward her. In the surveillance footage, Sylvia was sneaking into my office, inserting a USB drive, working intently at the computer. "This is your sister manufacturing evidence to frame me. The time is 2 days before I was fired." I pulled up another file. Those so-called leaked emails. The tech team analyzed them, all fabricated. IP addresses, modification traces, all point to Sylvia. And I took out a testimony. That so-called contact person at Baohua is an extra. Sylvia gave him 5,000 yuan to cooperate in taking a few blurry photos. A private investigator already found him. Serena stared at the evidence, unable to speak. "And one last thing," I said slowly, "the T-Charm case." Her body stiffened. "Bullseye. That case was entirely my work from start to finish. You just took my proposal to meet the client, then claimed all the credit. And Sylvia knew the secret. She used it to threaten you, made you believe I would betray you, made you drive me away. You just wanted to protect your lie." I leaned forward. "But you didn't know what you'd lose to protect one lie." "Damien, please." "Shut up." My voice was soft, but every word was like a knife. 3 days ago, when you had security drag me out like a criminal, did you think about begging me? When you humiliated me in front of 10 employees, did you think about me?" She lowered her head, her whole body trembling. "Serena," I stood up, "I could have forgiven you for taking my work. I could have understood you wanting success. But you shouldn't have destroyed me without hesitation to cover up that secret. I didn't think. You did think. You just thought you could control the situation." I looked at her. "But you forgot one thing. The price of lies isn't paid all at once. It continuously devours everything you've built." The room was terrifyingly quiet. "Next Tuesday, court mediation," I said. "Get a good lawyer. If I fire Sylvia now. Too late. I interrupted. Police will detain her tomorrow. Embezzlement, especially large amounts. Evidence is conclusive. Then the company. The company? I laughed. Do you think when your CFO is arrested, your founding case is proven stolen, your ex-husband sues you for property division, will any client still trust Radiant? The answer was written on her pale face. You can go now. Pointed at the door. Think carefully about how to explain in court why you signed off on those suspicious expenditures. She stood up like a puppet, stopped at the door. Damien, I really thought. Thought what? That if you tell a lie 1,000 times it becomes true. I shook my head. Go. Nothing you say matters now. She left. I closed the door, leaned against it, and for the first time allowed myself to feel all the emotions from these 3 days. Not breakdown. Relief. The relief of watching a house of lies collapse. The next 5 days were a precise execution. Graham's legal team executed the plan like surgeons. The asset preservation order came through the next day, Radiant's accounts frozen. Serena called 17 times. I didn't answer once. The third-party audit firm entered Wednesday morning at 9. For certified accountants, 2 legal assistants, carrying court authorization documents. Sylvia tried to stop them. Company secrets can't just. The audit team leader pulled out the documents. Ms. Lin, this is court authorization. If you don't cooperate, we'll note it in the report and recommend the court initiate a mandatory investigation. Sylvia's face turned white as paper. By the second day of the audit, the first hole was discovered. Starlight Consulting's address was fake. The legal representative was Sylvia's college friend. By the 4th day, the entire network was exposed. 13 shell companies, all pointing to Sylvia. Total amount, $4,030,000. The audit team leader called Graham. Mr. Chen's suspicions were completely correct. This is one of the most obvious financial embezzlement cases I've seen. The suspect didn't even bother to cover her tracks carefully. Day 5. Serena texted, "Can we meet?" I replied, "See you in court Tuesday." Day 6. Sylvia and Serena had a fight at the company. Marketing department Elliot secretly told me. Sylvia was shouting in the conference room, saying, "You told me to do this. You think your hands are clean?" Then Ms. Lin also broke down, saying something like, "I just told you to watch him, not to steal money." Mr. Chun. Everyone in the office heard it. The crack appeared. Now we just waited for it to completely collapse. Monday, Sylvia was taken away by police. Embezzlement, especially large amounts, evidence conclusive. Serena called, crying this time. "Damien, please, I know I was wrong. Only now you know? Sylvia has been threatening me, saying if I didn't cooperate, she'd reveal the truth about the case. She said you'd use it against me sooner or later. I was scared. So you chose to believe her, chose to destroy me. I thought I could control the situation." Control. I laughed. Lies are never controllable. They just keep growing until they bury everyone. Suppressed sobbing on the other end. Tuesday mediation, I said. Bring a good lawyer. Tuesday morning, Pudong Court mediation room. My side. Graham and his team, 3 lawyers, briefcases full of evidence. Serena's side, her and a tired-looking lawyer, a cheap last-minute hire. The mediator was a female judge in her 50s who had seen countless couples tear each other apart. Do either party object to the divorce? No, I said. No. Serena's voice was small. Main dispute is property division? Yes, Graham said. My client requests reassessment of the actual value of marital property, as there's been substantial illegal asset transfer. Serena's lawyer cleared his throat. We believe Mr. Chen's estimate is exaggerated. We have an audit report. Graham placed a 200-page document on the table, issued by a court-appointed third-party accounting firm. The report shows that in 18 months, at least $4,030,000 of Radiant Marketing's funds were illegally transferred to accounts associated with Miss Sylvia. What does this have to do with divorce property division? These transferred funds should have been legitimate company assets, part of the marital property my client is entitled to. Graham continued, "We demand that Ms. Serena, as the company's legal representative, bear joint and several liability for these losses." The mediator flipped through the audit report, her frown deepening. "Ms. Lin, what do you have to say about this report?" Serena opened her mouth but couldn't speak. "Sylvia's actions were her personal," her lawyer began. "No," I interrupted. "Not personal actions. I have evidence that Serena knew, even tacitly approved. I played a recording Serena and Sylvia's argument at the company a week ago. I just told you to watch him, not to steal money." Serena's voice. "But sis, you said you wanted to dilute his shares, to get him out of the company. I was just helping you achieve your goal." "I didn't tell you to. That's what you meant. You just don't want to admit it." The recording ended. The mediation room fell into dead silence. Serena buried her face in her hands. Her lawyer looked like he wanted to flee. "Also," I continued, "about the company's founding case, the T-Charm brand revitalization proposal. I took out a USB drive and a stack of materials. These are all the original files of that proposal, including creative drafts, revision records, cloud backup with timestamps. The file creation date is March 2021, while Radiant Marketing was registered in July 2021. This proposal was entirely my personal work, completed before the company was even founded." I pushed the materials toward the mediator. Serena claimed it as her own, used it as the company's first successful case for promotion, establishing the company's reputation in the industry. "The intellectual property of this proposal belongs to me, and I never authorized Radiant Marketing to use it." The mediator carefully examined the materials. The timestamps were clear. File properties showed the creator was my personal computer. "Mr. Chun, why didn't you raise an objection at the time?" "Because we were married then. I thought we were starting a business together." I looked at Serena. "I thought there was no difference between mine and yours. But now I know, in her eyes, the difference is huge." Serena looked up, eyes red and swollen. "Damien, I didn't know it would turn out like this." "You didn't know what?" "That stealing someone's work has consequences." "No, I wanted success so badly." "What were you trying to prove? That you could package yourself with someone else's work?" "Enough." The mediator banged the table. "Both parties, please calm down." She looked at the materials, then at the audit report and sighed. "Ms. Lin, based on the current evidence, the situation is very unfavorable for you. Financial embezzlement, intellectual property disputes, concealing major matters during marriage. Any one of these is enough for the court to heavily favor Mr. Chun in property division." She looked at Serena's lawyer. "Didn't you tell her the possible outcome?" The lawyer shook his head, looking helpless. "I suggest," the mediator said, "both parties compromise and reach an agreement in mediation. If this goes to litigation, it's bad for both. Ms. Lin, your company's reputation will be seriously damaged. Mr. Chun, you'll also pay more in time and energy." Graham looked at me. I thought for a moment, nodded. "My demands are simple," I said. "First, intellectual property of the T-Charm case belongs to me. Radiant Marketing immediately stops using it and removes related content from all promotional materials. Second, company assets are reassessed at actual value, excluding the embezzled portion, and I get my due share. Third, I take the core operations team I built. Those 7 people were recruited by me. Their employment contracts are mine to handle after the divorce." "You want to poach my team?" Serena suddenly raised her voice. "Your team." I looked at her. "Serena, I interviewed them one by one, trained them, led them on projects. What did you do besides sign off on their hiring?" "But let them choose themselves," I said. "I'll start a new company. If they want to come with me, Radiant won't force them to stay. After all, forced employee retention violates labor law, right?" The mediator nodded. Finally, we signed an agreement. Serena agreed to completely transfer the intellectual property of the T-Charm case to me and pay corresponding economic compensation. After deducting debts and embezzled portions, I got 40% of the remaining company assets. Most importantly, I got back complete ownership of that case. That was my work. My foundation in this industry. Leaving the courthouse, Serena called out to me. Damien. I stopped but didn't turn around. I really didn't know it would turn out like this. Back then, I just wanted success so badly. I watched you being so talented, casually creating such good proposals, while I couldn't do anything. I could only borrow your achievements to package myself as a successful CEO. So you deceived everyone, including yourself. Sylvia was right. She said I was always living in fear, afraid the truth would be exposed. So when she said you might threaten me, I believed her. You believed a liar instead of your husband. I turned to look at her. This is the truth of our marriage. You never truly trusted me. You just needed my ability. No. Yes. I interrupted her. You know what's most pathetic? If you'd been honest from the start that the case was mine, that you needed my help, I would have helped you without hesitation. We could have truly started a business together, built an honest company. But you chose lies, and lies need more lies to cover them. In the end, the whole structure collapsed. I turned to leave. She shouted behind me. Will you ever forgive me? I stopped, thought for a long time. Forgive? Maybe one day, I said. But that doesn't matter anymore. What matters is, I won't give you any more chances to hurt me. 3 months later, I founded Daybreak Strategy. The company was in the Jing'an District Creative Park, 120 square meters, not big, but enough. All 7 people I took came with me. Marketing Elliot, design director Leonard, and 5 young but promising strategists. Our first client was a new energy car company. The project wasn't big, $30,000, but for us it was hugely significant. I put the T-Charm case in the company portfolio, clearly marked, original creator, Damien. No hiding, no exaggeration, just facts. News spread quickly in the industry. That explosive case at Radiant was actually Damien's work. Damien was the real mastermind. That CEO Serena was actually a fraud. People called asking about the details. I kept it simple. That's in the past. Now I have my own company. Welcome to collaborate. Radiant Marketing rapidly lost client trust after Sylvia's arrest. Financial scandal exposed, CEO's reputation ruined, operations director left with core team. These 3 things combined were enough to destroy any medium-sized company. I heard Serena sold the office, moved to cheap co-working space. Only 3 employees left. She once messaged me, if you're willing to come back, I can give you the CEO position. I didn't reply. Some bridges once burned, stay burned. Looking back only gets you burned by the embers. Daybreak Strategy signed its first major deal in the 5th month. Annual marketing strategy for a chain fitness brand, $200,000. This was our breakthrough. The client's marketing director said at signing, "We chose you not only for your work, but for your integrity." In this industry, not many people can honestly face their past. Half a year later, one afternoon, I ran into Serena at the coffee shop downstairs from my company. Not planned, just a chance encounter. She looked much thinner, wearing a simple shirt and jeans, no longer that polished CEO. Damien. She stood before me. Serena, can we sit and talk? I hesitated, then nodded. We sat by the window. Radiant filed for bankruptcy, she said, her voice calm. Officially submitted last week. I heard. Sylvia was sentenced to 3 years. Paid back part of the money, but most was already spent. The law will give her the punishment she deserves. I visited her once. Serena smiled bitterly. She still blames me, says I pushed her into the fire pit. Maybe she's right. I could have stopped her. But I chose to turn a blind eye because I needed her to deal with you. You're not here for my sympathy, are you? No. She shook her head. I just wanted to say you did the right thing. I don't blame you. If I were you, I'd do the same. Silence. What are you planning to do next? I asked. Find a job. Maybe become a marketing specialist. I've realized I can really only talk and package an image. She laughed self-deprecatingly. Without your work supporting me, I'm nothing. You can learn, I said. You're not stupid, Serena. You were just too eager to prove yourself. What's the point of saying this now? The point is, I looked out the window. You still have most of your life ahead. Don't live in the shadow of the past. People can rise from failure, but the prerequisite is admitting failure. Her eyes reddened, but she didn't cry. Thank you, Damien. I hope your company does better and better. Serena, I called after her. If you really want to restart in this industry, first learn the fundamentals properly. Don't think about shortcuts anymore. She nodded and turned to leave. I watched her figure disappear around the corner, thinking of when we first met 5 years ago. Back then, she was a recent graduate, eyes shining, saying she wanted to make her mark in this industry. Maybe she did, just in the wrong way. And the wrong way was destined to have no good outcome. A year later, Daybreak Strategy moved to a bigger office. The team expanded to 23 people. We signed several good clients, including an internet company and an emerging consumer brand. At the company annual party, Elliot raised his glass. Boss, remember a year and a half ago? The day you were kicked out by security, we all thought it was over. Didn't expect you'd really turn things around. Not turn things around, I corrected him. Taking back what belongs to me. What about Boss Lynn? I mean Serena, do you hate her? I thought for a moment. Not anymore, I said. Hating someone is too exhausting. I just want to put my energy into things that matter. Leonard came over. Boss, what's the target for next year? 50 million in revenue, I said. Step by step. No rush, but no stopping either. Outside the window was the Shanghai night scene, lights brilliant. A year and a half ago, I stood in front of another building, looking at the same scenery, feeling despair and anger. Now, looking at the same scenery, I felt calm and certain. I didn't destroy Serena and Sylvia. They destroyed themselves. I just refused to continue being a stepping stone for their lies, refused to let my talent pay for someone else's ambition. I took back everything that belonged to me. My work, my reputation, my team, and my life. This isn't revenge. It's justice. When Damien pulled out the original case files at the mediation meeting and shattered all of Serena's pretenses in one blow, which part did you find most satisfying? Tell me in the comments. If you or someone you know has also experienced workplace betrayal, please subscribe. Remember, what betrayers fear most isn't retaliation, but the truth.
That's the end of today's story. For more captivating tales, hit subscribe and never miss an episode.